they recount some of their many sailing tales and adventures tonight. They've been awarded the 2022 and 2023 Cruises of the Year by the Cruising Section.
Yay.
Yay. So Terry and Louise have sailed into the distant sunset for 3 long cruising trips over the past years, the great dream of many of us. Firstly, they ventured from Fremantle to Hong Kong, return in 2001-2002, including a 3-month layover in Bali on the return trip. Secondly, Terry and Louise rallied into Fremantle to Bali adventure, returning via the Kimberleys in 2011. Their current trip is their 3rd venture north on the good ship Miss Saigon. This being Fremantle to Thailand over the last 15 months, which has been around 3,500 nautical miles so far, culminating in a major rebuild of Miss Saigon, which has just finished, I believe. Yes. Terry's history with Fremantle Sailing Club includes being on the board for 6 years, Vice Commodore for 2 years, followed by Commodore for 2 years after that. In addition, Terry was involved with the Learn Sail Training Ship as CEO, board member, governor trustee, and ultimately chair of the foundation over a 12-year span. This evening we'll cover a broad insight into sailing in Southeast Asia and Louise's philanthropic efforts in Asia as well, in Thailand. So we've allowed for question time afterwards. Tides, anchorages, hazards, weather, paperwork, red tape, and cultural experiences. How can these help your plan? So please welcome Terry and Louise. Thank you.
Very kind, and thank you for that, Ari. When we asked for some hecklers to arrive tonight, we didn't realise there were going to be so many professionals in the crowd. But Ari's to make a little bit about my background. I'd just like to back introduce Louise. She's been I'm the captain, or the skipper. This is the admiral. And we've been sailing together for all of our 42 years of marriage, or close to 42 years. Hartley 18, Sparkling Steve with 36, and then she's still in the club, and Miss Saigon, which is for the last 22 years. And we've done about 50,000 miles together. And Louise knows the boat better than me. I'll lead into why. So what we're going to talk about high level. Questions at the end, please. We'll talk about 45 minutes. The questions at the end, so leave your questions. And we'll talk about 45 minutes, just to whet your appetite about going up into these areas. The first bit is why we did it. Louise and I were expats for 26 years. We went around the world. We worked in 3 continents, about 6 or 7 countries. We visited about 50 countries. So we saw a lot of the world as a corporate, and we didn't need to go there sailing. Also, when we went in these places, we also chartered a lot of the places. Is there enough chairs? There's a couple of chairs in the front. But we chartered yachts, so we didn't feel the need to do a circumnavigation. Equally, West Australia, it's a challenging coast. So we've been to and from Goondiwala about 20 times. We've done the Abrolhos, we've done the Kimberley, we've done Shark Bay, and we didn't feel as though we continue to do that. So we were looking for somewhere where we could go sailing all year round, albeit we'd come back to and from Perth. So we became FIFO yachties. So that was our plan. People want to go around the world, that's fine. And then also, people want to stay here, that's fine. Go to Rottnest, that's fine. But that's what we did. Would you like to do it? Only you can answer that. We'll give you some insight of what we did, and you can work out if it suits your need or whatever there. Some insight of how hard or how difficult it is. I've got to go over here and push this button. So, August 2019, Louise and I went up to Phuket, picked up a hiker. We drove from Phuket around Thailand on the west coast, back down to Malaysia, across to Langkawi, a place called Rebak, and we visited over 20 yards for somewhere we could park the boat, go cruising and do a major refit. The yacht was getting 30 years old. It's a Duncan, and I'll talk about the construction later.
But that was a very worthwhile recce visit, particularly on my behalf, because he could have done it on his own and I wouldn't have been there with a camera to actually remember where the heck we were, which yard was which, and where I didn't want to go.
And we ended up with the biggest spreadsheet, that wide and that deep, of different yards, pros and cons, costs. Unfortunately, we came away from that trip with the understanding there wasn't one yard to do it all. There wasn't a Fremantle Sailing Club. There'd be 1 yard for doing a refit, 1 yard for access to cruising grounds, and 1 yard we could afford to leave the boat. All very, very different things. Then COVID came along, and we were booked, we were signed up, we'd done our qualifying voyage for Fremantle to Bali in 2020. The boat was fully stored. The Louise had gone down the jetty with 2 full wheelbarrows full of toilet paper. She started it. And then COVID hit and it was all off. And even at that stage, at the early days, because we'd up in Asia when SARS came through, we expected we would go in a few weeks' time. Well, as you all know, a few weeks turned into a couple of years. 2021, we thought we'd do it again. Still couldn't leave the borders had shut down. We were desperately disappointed at that stage, but it turned a blessing in disguise because there were so many yachties that were, and some of them from the club, that were stuck in faraway places. They couldn't go, they couldn't leave, they couldn't get entry. Terry Day and Mike Thomas was just 2 examples. So we were blessed in that regard. Anyway, 2022, beginning of 22, so we're going. The borders are still shut. Asked for expressions of crew from this forum. There's some of the people here. Neville, put your hand up, mate. Mug, one. And Jim Macbeth, who many of you know, was the other one. And we were very blessed to have not only 2 very good, nice people, but they understood sailing and brought some exceptional skills to it, so it was a perfect mesh. And that was for our first leg to go to Bali. So over the next 9 months, we spent, well there it is, about 6 months on board, came back to Australia, we did it in 4 legs. Did about 3,500 miles. Neville and Jim joined us to Bali. That was about 11 days. We'll talk about that in a second. And then we did the next couple of thousand miles, Louise and ourselves, a day sailing up to Thailand. Louise talked about a Hats for Java campaign. And then when we got there, the intention was to do a major refurb of the boat. It was getting very old externally. I'm a marine engineer back in my early days. And we put a new engine in, we'd done new electronics, rewired it, refurbished the Corian benches in the head. So the inside was half done, the external was showing a bit of age. So firstly, May, look at you Neville, in May, the early May, we took off. 10th, I think. About forecast was, there was a little front going to come through somewhere around here. We could wait about 4 days, or we could try and get over it. I had a predict wind, we had a predict wind subscription. 6 of the models said, by the time we got that high, the weather would be behind us and we'd have a tailwind, about 30 knots, 25, 30 knots. The bomb sight said it's going to go across the front of us and we'd get hit with 25, 30 knots. We said, okay, well, if we get hit, worst case we tack into it, go across it, 6 hours later we're through it. Got up to about here. The front actually came down behind us, good. The 25, 30 knots turned into 30 to 35 knots. Neville was on the helm. He said, Terry, you better get up here. And we had 50 knots gusting for the next 36 hours. And we were heading for Street Point, intention to go in here. And by the time we got halfway there, we had, 4 metre swells, maybe even bigger. Yeah. It was a lumpy, lumpy sea. And we said we'd stay out because as you get close to Street Point, it gets very, very upset. So we stayed out at sea. We ended up going around the top of Dirt Hartcog, got inside Bernia, and by that stage we had 36 hours, we hadn't been asleep.
Somebody was hallucinating.
Yeah. And we were in 3 watches, so we had 3 hours on, 6 hours off. Neville, ex-Navy, I said, I knew the answer before I asked him. I said, when you go on watch, how much time do you need before I wake you up? He said, about 4 minutes. I said, yep. And I was the same. Jim liked to be on watch forever. He just loved it. Anyway, so we got to Bernia. We had a little bit of a camp there for about 12 hours, and then we took off. And then from there it's straight up. And Exmouth is about halfway, so for you working out, if you want to go sailing, If you can get to Shark Bay, or if you can get to the Abrolhos, you can get to Exmouth. If you get to Exmouth, you've done all the hard yards. From here there on, it's just trade wind sailing. It just gets better and better.
John mentioned the code one I couldn't go back in short term.
Oh, we'll get on a second. So, just to part in. So, okay, we leave Fremantle. You can leave from a lot of other ports. At the time, and I understand it's still the same, you can only come back into Australia on the west coast either in Darwin or Fremantle. So that's a bit of a gap. It's like going to Europe, you can only go to Moscow or London. Customs have a long-standing rule which is now being enforced. You've got to export your vessel. Spoke to all the forums, and the customs side just go to a broker, cut you $50. Spoke to brokers, 2,000, 5,000, 5,000, 2,000. How do you do it? And then one of the fellas from here, Morgan Flower, put me onto a fella in O'Connor. He said $200. I said, you're on. I almost had the forms almost filled out because it's all in customs coding. You've got to use their codes. So I found the forms, and I think Bill Hinson, you're in the crowd. I think you imported your boat with the same fella.
Yeah, good guy, yeah.
Good guy.
Yeah.
So $200 and done.
Yeah, he said he underpriced it, so
Yeah.
for my import, so I'm afraid it cost me.
Bill, we've been recorded, we can delete that. Post-COVID, this is just at the end of COVID, this is May, the border had just opened up. They said if you leave, you can't come back, or if you come back, you've got to fly back to Fremantle, do your PCR tests again, clearing out again, re-import your vessel, and we're getting on. The customs people are very professional down below. And I said, it's about 6 o'clock on whatever, Tuesday morning, whatever it was.
And you totally out of nature being a smart aleck.
And I said, so I can't go into Carnarvon, because we were looking at no wind, lots of wind, a little bit of wind, no wind, lots of wind. I said, I've got enough fuel for 5 days of 10. Yeah. What do I do? They said, well, you can't come in. I said, well, can I have someone come? No. I said, we're going to die. He said, yeah. I said, that big plane you have go overhead, that PC-7 or PC-10, whatever it is, it's always very expensive. I said, well, you better book it now. And he said, okay, if it's a safety of life at sea issue, talk to us and we'll work out what we're going to do. So we got up to here, we'd used 2 days of fuel, and then we had 5 days to go. We had 3 days of fuel left out of 5 days. So we looked in a bit of wind. And then we had Ben Robertson and our daughter Sky doing ground control to help us. So, here we are. There's another one over the back, there's June in front. This is...
If just to take you through this, if you watch in a couple of minutes, you'll see me go back, and it's just as the boat's due to turn, and I turned to Terry and said, what's up? And he said, I've got no forward. So what do we do now? These guys are getting vendors in again, and he goes, we'll have to go to Bali and friggin' reverse, won't we? No, seriously, Terry, what do we do now?
And what happened, we'd taken the boat out for a good flogging a week or two before with Neville and Jim and Louise and myself, and we gave it a good thrashing, and we'd actually burnt the clutch plates on the clutch.
No, there's no we. I said you had to use we today.
Louise and Ben, no, we'd burnt the clutch plates, and I spoke to Mike Giles, and he said, you've burnt your clutch plates. If you nurse along, so what we found, if we got up to about 2,000 revs, it would then engage, and bang, we'd be off. I said, right, we're not going to stop. And there we were, stopped, stuck, couldn't go forward, couldn't go backwards. And we said, we're going. So just when we got to the other end, if you're going to Bali or you're going to Indonesia, the rules change by the minute. All the time people ask what the rules are. Depends on where you land, who you speak to, and how the guy got out of bed that morning. But there's a lot of detail there, but there's 2 basic visas for yachties. One's a B211A, gives you 60 days, extendable for another 60 days, extendable for another 6 days, 180 days, 6 months. Costs people have been charged between $500 and $1,000 extension, so per person. So someone got quoted the other day $12.50, and you have to be sponsored, and the sponsor then charges you what he likes to extend it. So yeah, or you get a visa on arrival. For Neville, Jim, myself, and Louise, and one other crew that couldn't sail because he had his PCR test came up positive, we paid our B12118. The fifth crew who didn't sail us, they said, oh, here's $500 back for him, refund, that's good. Louise's passport had been crimped off at one of the numbers, and I'd sent up a copy a month before, and they'd acknowledged that. They said, we've rejected her visa application, here's $500. They said, what are you going to do? Well, she can't land. I said, okay, we'll go to the pub and Louise sort it out. We'll see you in a week's time. And I thought, oh, you bid, I've got $1,000 a table. He said, I'm not so quick, that's harbour fees. So that disappeared.
So they quickly gave me a $50 visa on arrival.
So $50 fee, which just happens now if you're flying on the plane. And in fact, when we flew back in a month later, we just got visas on arrival, which you get 30 days and you can extend once for 30 days. They do have an online system, a vessel declaration system. It hasn't worked for 3 or 4 years since COVID. They haven't reinstated it. The people are so good at getting agents. Some people don't use an agent, but we met so many people that boats were being impounded because they hadn't used an agent. They got the paperwork wrong. So just got to be a bit careful there. When you get there, they do quarantine. You've got to have a ship's medical certificate. You've got to have ship sanitation. $10, and apparently you're rat free. And then customs. Question all the time, can you take alcohol? We had alcohol through the bilge, through the walls, for the whole bit. The only thing I'd say, don't ever take drugs, because if you take drugs, you've heard about Michelle Corby. So yeah, don't do that. Oops, sorry. Banyuwangi. Banyuwangi is on the most eastern side of Java. If you track a rock, you can hit Bali. It's about a mile wide. The right-hand side, you've got Lombok Strait, which is about 30 miles wide. The left-hand side of Bali is the Bali Strait. It's about 1.5 miles wide. The currents go through to about 12, 15 knots. The right-hand side is only about 5 knots because it's such a wide strait. So it's a nice, interesting bit of water to go up and down. We'd been there in 2015, met the 13. I met everybody, and there was just a pond of mud. And they emptied it all out, dredged it, and built a yacht club, and put a couple of floating pens in there. Quite a nice place. And this is outside the yacht club with the general manager in the middle.
Really nice yacht club.
Really nice general manager.
So we're about 6 of the crew, you knocked back, Terry.
This is coming up the Bali Strait. So that's literally, we are literally about 100 metres off the Javanese coast there, and there's Bali on the other side. That's one of the wider bits. And this guy comes flying past, and well, 2 boats in the same bit of water, it's a race. Unfortunately, he won. Wow. They fly on. And people ask me all the time, how do you manage the tides and currents in Bali or in Indonesia? The answer is follow these guys. They know them. They all sit there and wait, fish all day. The tide turns and they just go. Right, time to go. And then all of a sudden, and we'll talk about it in a little while.
But when we were in Banyuwangi at the marina there, we would go across to the other side to where these guys would take off, and we'd watch which side of the bank they went each day, didn't we?
So by this time, Neville and Jim had flown home in Bali. So we had to catch a car or a van from Banyuwangi, a ferry across to Bali, and then back down to the airport. Stayed in the hotel for a couple of nights, and that was about 6 hours in the car. And people said, don't worry about the car, there's a bus goes door to door. Yeah, just $20. I was like, oh, okay, we'll save some money. Got in there. What we didn't know was that the bus is 15 people, 15 chickens, 15 kids, and a couple of cats and dogs.
And 15 stops.
And 15 stops. We arrived at about 2 o'clock in the morning. No, 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock.
None of those for a loo break.
None of those, yeah. So we were in the bus for 14 hours. Oh. Needless to say, we spent the next $50 on the way back to get a private car. Anyway, then we sailed from Java. First of all, we went back to Bali, across to Banyuwangi, which is a lovely little cove. Beautiful little harbour just on the corner of Bali here. And then came up through Surabaya, magnificent harbour. very, very busy, thousands and thousands of ships, thousands of fishing nets. And then they sailed along the coast.
Sorry, who followed you out and got you on the radio going through there?
Oh, there we were in Surabaya going through, and they had the radio on, 16. Miss Saigon, Miss Saigon. Oh, gee, it's us. One of the evergreen liners behind us, filling the whole harbour up. He said, if you can't move, we're going to go aground. I thought, oh, here we go again. And we said, okay, we'll just move a little bit aside. And this huge ship went past, and I thought for a second I had the whole world's commerce in my hands. Well, 1 minute. So they sailed.
Sorry, Terry, so you sailed into the western side of Bali, in the Bali Straits, not into Benoa Harbour?
No, we've been to Benoa several times.
Yeah.
Sorry, when we arrived, we sailed into Benoa. The old Bali International Marina, if you remember that, it's been wiped. A company called Belindo bought it. They've built a new marina 500 metres down the road for super yachts, and they charge super yacht prices. It's in the commercial harbour, there's no facilities, taxis can't go there, so that's where Jim and Neville left us. We got a quote there for about 8 or 9 grand to leave the boat there for 2 months. And we said, no thanks.
Quickly bolted to Serena.
And we had a choice of either going to Lombok or to Banyuwangi. We said, well, it's on our way, we'll go to Banyuwangi, which is a third of the cost, so we left the boat there for 2 months. So we plodded across, got to here, and we'd sailed this way from Hong Kong 20 years earlier, and we were keen to see what top of Java was like, but beautiful, beautiful countryside. But uninspiring, there was no restaurants, they were super, super poor from COVID. They hadn't got over tsunami, they hadn't got over COVID. Very hard to land there, a lot of mangroves, a lot of reef. So most of the nights we'd anchor about a mile off, usually in the lee of the land, so away from the breeze. A couple of times the tide would turn us around. We'd set the alarm for 4:30 in the morning, get going by 6 o'clock in the morning because of the fish traps everywhere, thousands, tens of thousands of them. And we'd try and drop anchor mid-afternoon while we could still have good light. We'd generally come in at right angles because the shoals go out, the shafts are hopeless. We'd come in at right angles and we'd drop anchor and have a beer, have a meal, go to about 6 o'clock and then repeat the same thing again. We did that for about 2 or 3 weeks, 2 weeks up to about here. We got to about here, number 10.
Met some marvellous people.
That's marvellous people. Along the way, so a bit of detail there, so we did about 1,250 miles, 2 crew, July, August, September, 66 days in the water. We did the Hatch and Java, which Louise will talk about in a minute. We had to do 1 hop across from Java across to Billiton, 30 hours, and that was the South East Trades, blowing about 30 knots, about a 4 metre swell, so it was full on sailing, which is good for an hour, but 30 hours is a bit much. And fishing boats, you could not see a fishing boat, probably inside at any one time, probably 100 fishing boats. And at night time they go, the big spider boats move across at about 20-25 knots and they change spots, and it's just like a video game out of control. Got our visa extension, 30-day visa extension on Billiton. Very, very nice touristy place. So that was our first touristy space after 30 days or 25 days at sea. And then we went to Banker Island, which is a historic place. And if you don't know the story of the Australian nurses that got massacred on Rogie Beach, we went there, we were crying, and we walked the beach, walked the lighthouse. Vivian Bullwinkle was the sole survivor. She's written several books, and so it's a very big part of Australian history. It's virtually untold.
We were reading the book prior to getting there, weren't we, on the journey?
And all these ships came out, basically all the ships came out of Singapore, and they all got sunk there. They all got stopped, the Japanese just sunk a lot. Thousands, tens of thousands of Australian soldiers and hospital ships got sunk just there. They went ashore and they got massacred with machine guns.
For those that don't know the story, Vivian Bullwinkle, who actually spent a lot of time here in the West, she managed to survive the massacre because she was that much taller, and all the soldiers fired at the one light and the bullet went straight through there and out the other side, and she laid in the water and pretended she was dead, and she then survived.
So by the time we got to Banker Island, we were about 60% of the way to Singapore, so we had about 400 miles to go, and we had 30 days to do it, so the pace went down a bit, And as we got closer and closer to Singapore, we started seeing restaurants and places to go see. But it wasn't all doom and gloom. This was us in, so this is very typical coming ashore in Java. You'd have to go over coral and oyster beds and that sort of stuff. And the tide would be up here at a high tide, and when you come back here, then you would be here and you have to drag it across.
But most of you probably already do invest in a good pair of reef shoes, etc. Some people just wear boat shoes and they weren't very effective on this occasion. So I was the tender, can't say it on camera, the tender woman to go and get the dinghy every time.
And we end up in a
That's
place,
not what he called me.
we end up in a place called Jepara, which is halfway between Bali and Jakarta. And it's run by a Swedish submariner, and I'm an ex-submariner, and it turned out we knew several people together, and we were literally like lost brothers, so we...
Yeah, well that was the end of them.
Yeah, so we had a few days there. It was glorious.
They're a lovely family, and we had lots of hats with us, which photos will come up later, but Soren's wife would take us into the fish market at 5 in the morning, and it was just, yeah, great people, really friendly. Soren went there as a carpenter, got very tempted to come home with a 40-foot container of all the beautiful timbers that he showed us, and he would have loved to facilitate that for us, but it was just all a bit overwhelming at the time. Might go back.
So a few sites from Java. So this would be a typical anchorage in the evening. You'd park there, we'd go and buy some fish, give away a few hats. We had reports from other people that the fishermen would try and capture your boat in the red net and demand money. We'd go in and give a few hats, and in the morning they'd all wake up, oh, here comes Mr. I've got to move out the way, move out the way. They'd live out the nets and we'd go out. Every day was the same.
Except for Surabaya.
Except for Surabaya.
In Surabaya, we went in and dropped the anchor, and we were fine, and then it was probably about 3 in the morning, we noticed a light alongside our cabin window, and we thought, oh, okay, someone might be laying nets or whatever. I went up probably about 4:30 with the dolphin light, and I called down to Terry and I said, someone's put a net around us. I said, we did not go into this. And anyway, a bit further, this guy started coming over and demanding money off of Terry, and I went up the bow and I said, not only is it not around us, but he's tied it off on the dolphin striker. It's two nets, one down each side. So Terry promptly was saying no to it, but then this guy was insistent that we owed him money, and it was equivalent to about 500 Australian, and Terry promptly went down and reached down at the top of the stairwell, just pulled out the filleting knife and went towards the bow ready to cut them, and he go, no, and yeah, he quickly reeled them back in, and he still wanted money, and Terry used a terminology to go away. But as we left, all the other fishermen were waving, and yeah, basically sorry. He was obviously a rogue.
So what are you talking about? Just take
Oh, right. Okay, first of all, I'd just like to thank everybody in this room that contributed and supported the Hats for Java. I can tell you it was a huge success. Yeah, not just for us as a club, a country, but yeah, personally it was just so rewarding. The stats of what we gave away, yeah, well, it's just, I have printed them, they will be on our website, but probably about 500 caps, a couple of hundred these type soccer balls. We picked those ones up in Banyuwangi. One thing I would say, which I learnt when we lived in Papua New Guinea all those years ago, is don't do what a lot of people do. Someone saw us in the Komodos years ago, 2013, buy the soccer balls and give them away there. It's quick to remind you that some kids in those villages, that's what they're waiting for their birthday. So don't take everything. As much as you think you're helping everybody out by buying the lot and giving it away, always leave a couple there and make that clear through whoever you can that they are there for whoever's waiting for them. Don't clear stalls out. No matter how big your heart is, don't do it. So yeah, so this is how we, because of COVID, this is how we and also Terry's paintwork, this is how we distributed the Hats for Java on the boat hook alongside. They didn't come looking, we waved them over, and it was just, yeah, so rewarding. There we go, someone got the 2 wooden spoons, the Perth Glory and the Eagles. This little boy, he was just amazing. He and his dad would go over in that boat, and they were the equivalent of our school bus run. So they would go over from the village, and they would go into the school and pick up the kids. And this particular load was these lovely little girls, all in beautiful blue and white uniforms, weren't they? And they came out without prompting on the way home and came alongside the boat and sang to us. And it was just amazing. And so we had all these hats, and the girls were going through them. And the girls didn't want this one. This little guy picked it up. First thing he did, put it on backwards. And I thought, that is just too cute to be true. And we did have on board buckets of Chupa Chups, which I did get criticised on our Facebook for handing out. But these people hadn't seen white people since pre-COVID. I don't think one Chupa Chup per child is going to. And they have enough education. One of the girls, the taller girls, was actually collecting the wrappers. They're very aware of their environment. You don't want to belittle. Yeah. Now, this is a lady that I got inspired, pardon me, 2019, Meg, from the historic vessel Vega. They are actually a registered charity. They deliver pre-loved laptops around Southeast Asia. So quite good. At the moment they're looking for money because they have got propeller problems. Did you see today? Yeah. But she was lovely. We met her, but unfortunately the day we met her they were getting hauled out and the yard dropped their boat. So
Twice.
Yeah, she wasn't in the best of moods. So the first time we met, I thought, oh, she's a little bit harsh. And then I heard the backstory, and later met up, and she was the one that I quizzed in 2019 as to what to bring. So I highly recommend if you could look them up on YouTube's historic vessel Vega. Sorry? I think so.
So we ended up in Billeston. Billeston's a very, very pretty place. And that was the start of some nice anchorages, some nice sandy beaches. It's a tourist spot, and we had a week there. It was just fabulous. Some nice characters. This guy here, he came out, and he's waving and shouting, and come this way, come this way. And I said, oh, he's trying to sell something. We said, he's trying to show you where to park. So followed him in.
Terry's going, no, he's not. He's trying to get us to go to his world. I'm going, no, he's trying to take you through. I can see the bombies. He's trying to take you through the back of the reef.
So anyway, we dropped the anchor.
The Admiral called.
Woke up in the morning. We are landlocked with reef, 100 metres away from, in a big, big pond, 100 metres away from this restaurant. Everybody else is 4 miles out, they never slept all night. And we had the perfect anchorage. So yeah, that's Eddie. So,
that's Eddie. He was your bestie after that.
He was bestie, yeah. He had the Cold Spear in
and this guy here might be the next teeth for Java.
From there we went north. We went across the equator. So this is coming south in 2002.
Same people.
The same zero. Almost the same longitude. So in the same boat, 20 years, exactly 20 years apart, going across the equator. Fortunately, it never came. And then we went up the Samoa, Malaysia, up the west coast of, we joined a rally. Highly recommend and disrecommend rallies. We had 15, 16 boats, about 28 crew or people. 3 or 4 of them were circumnavigators. Some of them have been sailing together for several years. We got there, Johnny come latelys, we knew that. And then we said, right, we're going on the bus, we want to go somewhere. You think you can get 30 yachties to agree where to go, or what time to start, or what time to finish, or what we do? These guys have been sailing the world unfettered for decades, and all of a sudden these Malaysians were going to get us into a bus. Anyway, we went up, it was 450 miles. A lot of them went straight through, just sailed straight through. And just
didn't see anything.
And just got to the end. We said, we were day sail. So we did 3 legs of 150 miles, so 50 miles, 50 miles, 50 miles, and we stopped each night. And then we had about 4 or 5 days in each location. Of got a bus down to Malacca, bus up to Kuala Lumpur. We stopped here, 3 stops, and we had 44 days on the water over 50 miles. So.
And probably about 4 of those boats are still in Pancor getting work done because they wanted to do it themselves, or controlled tradies to do it rather than go further up to Langkawi or over to Thailand to get work done.
So we just came up here.
93 days.
Unfortunately, it was mostly motoring. It's a very, very windless bit of the world, so 450 miles, mainly motoring. Not much wind at all. Very busy. So we stayed. This side is something a bit dodgy for piracy. A lot of shipping going through. We stayed on the right-hand side out of the traffic. The yachts itself for the night, they came into the shipping lane, down the shipping lane so they could be seen and safe, no nets. We were day sailing so we could dodge the nets. We'll talk about that in a second. Here's this is the very most southern tip of the Asian continent, in Malaysia, and that's all our colleagues in crime. Some interesting people, some very nice people. We've got some very good friends that we've made in contact. The last 4th leg, we came back for Christmas, and in this year we sailed from Langkawi up to Phuket, and that's about 120 miles. And in the old days, you could take a month to do it. These days, they want you not to be too long, so we did it two stops. Two stops. 2 stops. So 20 miles, 50 miles, 50 miles. They didn't have a problem.
We did it Koh Lipi, then Koh Rock, and then into Chalon Bay.
But there's about 120 islands between those two, and it's perfect sailing. And imagine between here and Quindalup, you have 120 islands, and everyone's got a restaurant. They've got moorings.
If you've got the local currency.
Yeah. Yeah, we didn't have local currency, so we couldn't buy anything. So we did our 27 days in the water, 3 days in transit, and we got there. This fellow on the right is a guy called Scott Duncanson. His dad, John Duncanson, actually designed Miss Saigon. So he's a past Commodore at the Phuket Yacht Club, so we had caught up with him, exchange virgies. His dad's been following us on Facebook. He's 82, lives on the Gold Coast now. He's wrapped that his boat has got a new lease of life.
He said that this is what she was designed to do. He's delighted.
So we promised you some insight into the technical side. So currents, and this is from one of the cruising guides. When the wind blows that way, the current goes that way. When the wind blows this way, the current goes this way. So you want to be there when the current's going this way, which is May, June, July, August. We looked at staying there and joining the Southern Indonesia Rally, but the Southern Indonesia Rally was going to sail in October, November against the prevailing winds. We said, that is just silly. So we said, we'll go alone, and we're coming along the top here. Because we're in the lee of the land, we've got very light breeze, so we're doing a lot of motoring, but we had nice, gentle sail all the way through, and we had about a knot of current with us the whole way. Other people that came through later, they got to where Bellaton's here. They came from Kumai to here, about 72 hours at sea, on the nose, absolutely knackered.
Most of the wives flew back to Brisbane, and 2 of them haven't come back again.
From there, they were supposed to day sail up to Singapore. The Indonesians, the authorities said, no, you've checked out, you have to now leave and go straight through to Singapore. And they had another terrible 7 days at sea, going straight through to Singapore. So we felt vindicated that our day sail was quite worth the effort. So that's currents, tides and currents. So Andrew Moffat was asking about coming through some of the straits, so I'll be giving him some insight, which I'll talk about now. This is the Lombok Strait, which is probably one of the more famous ones. So there's Bali, there's Samba, is it Samba? Samba, I think. So that's about 30 miles. The current runs, June, July, it runs north to south, but if you go 5 miles either side, there's no current. So you can just do a big circle when you come across to Java, or equally, high tide, or 2 hours before high tide, you can creep up the coast and you actually get a back current, back eddy. Same here. So again, watch the fishermen. And I think, Lynn, we were in your boat, we were going up that little strait, so that, whatever it's called, follow the fishermen, they shoot through about 8 knots. Whereas if you try and, that's about a 5 or 6 knot current. So if you try and go across that, you're going to be in serious pain. So you just go wide, coming into Bali, you just come up into Bali, no current, go on the coast and then come around the coast and into Benalla, and you don't get any adverse current. Anchorages. This is a program called OpenCBN, something you'll be aware of, and there's a few forums, and these are all the places Johnny's been before you. And not only have they been there, they'll leave information, so if you click on it, you can't read that, but it tells you the anchorage, it tells you what it's like, what the holding's like, and there's literally 10,000 anchorages there. You can download the OpenCBN, it's a free download, free program. You can download the charts, 80,000 charts of the world from the same site, no cost, and then you can download 10,000 anchorages around the world at no cost. Now you've just got to take that into a bit of context as to how good or bad people have been there before you. But we use that sort of as a source of where we might start our thinking. Weather, I think I've got about 25 apps on the notepad. Mainly we used Windy. Predict Wind was a little bit hairy-fairy because it's very good for big areas. We were so localised. Come up the west coast, Windy said go north. Oh, okay. Where else do you go? You can't go west, you can't go east, you go north. The bomb sites are probably the best in terms of information in Australia. And when you get north, there's a few Wind Guru and a few other bits of the Thai Bureau we've locked into, and that's super good. Navigation source. I'll talk about Navionics a bit in a second. There's other proprietary ones. OpenCBN I'll speak about. And then these are the offline stuff. They provide satellite imagery, so if you're in the internet range, you can just click on and you get a satellite image of where you are, and that's invaluable because Navionics will tell you nothing, and the satellite will show you a big volcano there, literally. Cruising guides, buckloads of cruising guides. There's some of the bigger ones. Lots of local downloads. So Sail Thailand, Moorings put out a thing. There's a terrorist topics, no, it's not me, it's another fella. He does a weekly or monthly update of the whole lot, and it is the whole of Asia. And Facebook forums is the one sort of Sail Southeast Asia group, and that's very informative. You just ask a question. We asked a question about rebuilding a gearbox, came back with a dozen answers, and so there's a fellow just down the road for you. Rang up at 7 o'clock on a Monday, 7 o'clock on a Monday morning? 7:30. 7:30. Yeah, what can you do? He's like, I can't be there for 10 minutes.
And he rocked up with his wife and 10-month-old son.
And took the gearbox away and reconditioned it. Now, talk about Navionics. This is your stock standard Navionics that you see in your chart plotter that we see. If you pay a subscription, on your notepad it's about $40. Yeah. If you on your chart plotter it's something more, a lot more, add a zero, I think. But you can get what they call sonar charts. This is the same place. This is just south of Singapore. So we parked in here. There's rich restaurants all the way along here. Lovely. You actually catch your dinner. They bought your dinner and you pick it up. So this is what you see. This is sonar charts, and this is with satellite navigation. So you can see the reef there. You can see the restaurants. So we would sit there with chart plotter, laptop, and notepad going as to what do we see. And another thing, and I think the other thing's got the same. Navionics, if no one's been in there before, as you go in, it plots all that for you. And the next time you connect in, it uploads it to the internet, so for everybody else to get the same contours. So you actually create your own charts as you go around.
So the aerial photo is Navionics as well?
That's all Navionics.
So this is where we were anchored here, and there was a beautiful family restaurant here that actually had fish net tanks there. As Terry said, you get the fresh fish. But we were the only ones there and were swinging round on the tide. So by the time we finished dinner, the stern of the boat was right outside the restaurant. And the kids referred to me up there as Nana Lucy, because I'm Lucy in Asia rather than Louise, that's how they pronounce it. And this one particular night, the kids all were all geared up, weren't they? They said, come on Nana Lucy, you could jump onto your boat from here. You don't need Papa's boat. Listen, the 20-year-old of me was going, go for it. The 60-year-old of me was going, oh, that's Dicky Knee stuff.
I've just gone back to OpenCBN. So I talked about satellite imagery. There's sorts of places you get online, but if you're offline, one of the members from Fremantle Sailing Club, Mike Reynolds, has downloaded tens of thousands of sites all around Asia, and when you're on OpenCVN, you'll end up with a bar along here, you have 20 or 30 images, and you just go through, oh, this one's got clouds, this one's a nice clear image, and you see bommies and you see the whole bit, and you actually see your boat going through the reef. Hazards, Louis, you can do hazards.
Okay. First of all, there's the fishing net hazards, but these are quite often, that's the remains of what that was, basically. So yeah, dead easy to spot. These ones, not so much till you're right on top of them. So these, yeah, a lot of these on the left here, still working, but once again, highly visible. On the right, these are a kind of version of the spider boat, but these things can actually turn on a 20-cent piece. And they're the ones at night that are really hard to pick as to when they're going to turn. And as far as power gives way to sail, that's not going to happen. So you just avoid these guys. These guys here, the main thing is to watch where the nets are. Now, as opposed to the drop nets, fishing nets, they will just have a small flag, literally like the size of a burgee, going down quite weather beaten and all the rest. But these guys will have these tall, you'll notice those on these boats. That generally means start looking out for floats and nets and give them a wide berth. Yeah, so nets, that type of flag. And then, yeah, the dredges and commercial fishing. Yeah. Yep, so net going out the back here, again, that flag. Tall flags. Yeah, debris. Oh yeah, so these are what are going to be at the bottom of the small flags. So you're quite easy to go through the middle of those. That's all that's at the base of those. Sorry, working together. Yeah, you have to be careful that when you see the red and white there, that there will be a net. These two guys will actually be working together, one going out the back there, one coming in the middle there.
And if you go for the middle, long pain.
Oh, and these, you'll see the polystyrene ones here.
Fish attraction devices, fads.
Yeah, that's the Indonesian version of a fad.
And then they're just more fish traps. Okay, so just finishing up now, refit, we got there and we went into refit. We wanted to do it in the middle of the year. Everybody said don't do it in the middle of the year, it's wet season. You have to do your painting in the dry season. This Saigon was 35 years old, so the deck was getting seriously worn in the teak. And the gunnels have got split a few places. It's a cedar with glass either side, so it's a sandwich construction. So a foam construction is super light and super fast. 100% fiberglass is super heavy. So this Saigon's in the middle. It gets the best of both worlds in terms of it's super strong, but medium in terms of weight. So you've got cedar on the outside, marine ply, fiberglass inside and outside, and then teak on the top, which looks very pretty in its first 20 years or 10 years of its life. So we made a decision to take all the teak off.
First of all, it gets extremely hot in Asia. As you may know, the teak decks get burning hot. It's a shoes all the time job, but also the expense. There's a myth, yeah, we'll go about that later, as to costs up there. But yeah, we went with teak features and we've got non-slip decking.
So again, just the gunnels got bashed around a bit. Here, when we spoke to the contractor, we talked about scarfing in some new bits. She said, no, we're going to scarf the whole boat in. We're not replacing the whole lot, and we're going to fiberglass it and then put teak back on. She said, it's not worth trying to muck around. So that was a good outcome. So we got into refit. They stripped the boat. It was only external. They stripped the boat to bare, took the mast off. We had a bit of discussion about the price. We said, we're not arguing about the price, just arguing about how much we want to spend. And we had a budget figure. So she was able to leave the mast out of the equation and we'll leave the anti-foul out of the equation.
So we didn't haggle the price, we just reduced the scope of works.
We had a hatchery that hadn't been open for 20 years, and we said we want that reinstated. It's the same at the back. We had a few other bits and pieces. And then they stripped it down. We had 10 guys working 12 hours a day for 6 days a week.
The Purple Army.
Purple Army, and they stripped the boat. We had 2 sea containers full of this cyclone bits. It was quite distressing. We were there for 2 weeks just trying to keep track of it all. They took thousands and thousands of photos. And I said to Louise, I hope they can put it back together as quickly, as good as they can put it apart.
But this Purple Army that we had, they'd finish at 2 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon because they work 6 days a week. And then under Thai tradition, they didn't ask us to, but I'd researched it, and Thai tradition is that when they finish work at the end of the week, we then bless the boat again, and we put the joss sticks, 9 joss sticks, and fruit and sweet bread on the bow. And one of these guys just wanted to do the actual blessing himself, which was fantastic. And then Terry roped in another guy to do the translation, so we have no idea what he said.
So this is the boat starting to get back together. We've ripped out the whole gunnel here, replaced it, 2 layers of fiberglass, the teak cap rail in, taken all the teak off, re-fiberglassed it, re-faired it, and then the non-skid in, and then the all grip on the sides. They sat there, fairing the boat for weeks and weeks and weeks, and every time we thought it was perfect. The lady that owned the business, do it again, do it again, do it again. So that's getting close to topside's finished. We just have to do the anti-foul. Even that, we went back, we stayed there for the first 2 weeks. The contract was such that we could actually fly back to Australia. If we'd gone to Malaysia or some of the other yards, we spoke to some yachties been there. One couple had been in Malaysia, halfway doing the same work, halfway through their job, had been there 18 months. One other couple came from Geraldton, they'd been there 13 years. And I don't want a problem with Islamic or Muslim, but 13 years without a beer was a bit much for me. So we said, okay, and this was a fixed price contract, fixed term, fixed price. But we still had to do a lot of the work, and she sprinkled those last minute. She said, oh, you've got to put those on tonight. So that was me, it was about 9 o'clock at night. We were on torchlight, weren't we?
But we got one quotation just for anti-foul over in Langkawi, and they wanted the boat on the hard stand for 30 days to do the anti-foul. Yeah. And that was, they still wanted 7,000 for it over there for 30 days, plus hard stand fees, which took it up to about 15.
So okay, this is the boat going back in. So 100% external refit. We had a little bit of work done inside from other contractors.
You're not supposed to stay on the boat whilst it's in the cradle moving. But I said to Terry, I paid $2,500 for this taxi ride up Stone. Now this stage the decal hasn't been put on because our daughters, the graphic artists, are up to do it at a later date, so there's no signage at this stage.
So I was just going to point out, those of you environment tune will notice that one of the pedal blades is back to front. We found this out later. So we got splashed. We got splashed for 30 seconds. Put it into gear, nothing. No forward, no reverse. We got lifted out. The propellers were put on back to front. So I'm frantically trying to readjust the propellers, get some. I got it going, and overpropped it. We were getting 8 knots at 25% revs. So I'd overpropped it. So I reset it again, took the prop off in the water, got it almost right, but not quite right, and the vibration actually broke the P bracket off the boat. So we had to get lifted eventually. That was the only bit of thing. So in terms of costs, sorry, don't look at the numbers. Who thinks Asia's cheap? 100 grand for an external paint job. And that was one contractor, 92 days, fixed price. The marina fees, 15 grand. 2.5 grand, 3 grand to lift out, lift in. accommodation was cheap, and then we did a, we rebuilt the gearbox, did some fridge work. Propeller shaft was, yeah, we got the man back because he put it back to the front.
Yeah, but we had to pay another $2.50 to get it lifted out, and this propeller guy came over, and then he was going to charge us to turn the prop back the way he should have put it first. So once again, Terry told him where he could take that. Just go.
But anyway, it was a 92-day contract, and we got the boat back on day 91. So we've been speaking to other people, and they said, well, yeah, they've been doing it for 3 years. Yeah, what price you put on that? Anyway. So here's our playground now. We're parked over here in Krabi, which is on this is the Thai mainland. Here's Phuket. There's lots of marinas here, but they're very expensive. That's 36 miles, so 5 hours across. And there's hundreds of islands. You've got James Bond Island, PP Island, all that sort of stuff, and it's all touristy, but it's not restaurants. And also too, it's sheltered from all seasons. So at the moment, the southwest monsoons, but you can duck in here, up here, to the nice Muslim village up there. We've been up there a few times. Lovely river, very calm, protected, lots of mud everywhere. And then when the summer season, you come around the west coast of Phuket and go up towards Cambodia. But we're not going to go any further. We're not going to go around the world. We're just going to stay there.
But the same thing, that if you are good to the people and you do not raise your voice, put your hands on your hips, they keep face, then we were getting escorts out of everywhere with fruit laden on the deck. The Muslim village, when I bought things I didn't need or want, but could find somebody to give them to, came out of there, and we were surrounded by all the fishermen waving us and taking us out.
So we're just going to do a quick little wrap up with Mythbusters section. So if you know this channel on the SBS, piracy. There is human to R is pirate. Everybody, are you going to be raped, murdered, the whole bit? So where did you tell the first story?
This was when we were coming down the South China Sea from Hong Kong, and Terry saw these guys approaching. He wasn't smiling at this stage, and we'd heard all these stories in the bar at the Royal Hong Kong Yacht Club. So Terry said, get yourself in the chain locker and take some water and some chocolate, and just don't come out till I tell you to. Okay? Sounds like a plan. So in I go. So it turns out these guys came along. Balaclavas kept the sun off their face, not pirates at all, just trying to sell us some dried fish. Anyway,
Lovely guys.
Lovely guys apparently, because they were chatting. I thought he'd been shot. I'm still down there. I'm sort of like, God, I think I've lost about 1 kilo in fluids. And then I thought, no, I'm going to crack the hatch. And I'm going to have a look. I haven't heard anything for a while, so I cracked the hatch. Next minute I hear laughing. I think, are they laughing because they've just killed a big fat white fella? Or is it the coast clear? So, there he is down the back. Forgot to tell me it was fine.
So piracy.
That's piracy.
Mythbusters. So okay, so here are the hotspots in Asia in 2015. The up here around Sort of see, yeah. Hotspot. They do a rally out here every year and actually give an armed escort. Jakarta's had a bit of a problem, and then through the Malacca Straits, mainly on the Indonesian side, a bit of a problem. That was in 2015. 2020, same areas, lot happening around here. People taking hostage up here, some Johnny got taken hostage. Nothing happening along here. So if you're going to Bali, going right or left, there's never been any reported piracy. You could lose an outboard, you could lose some goggles or some snorkels because you'd be giving away the kids all day. And the kids come out and say, well, my 10 mates got one, why didn't I get one? I'll take this one. Or your outboard if you don't tie it down. We lift our dinghy up every night. Again, Jakarta. Since COVID, the problems have got worse. And this is one in 2020, middle of COVID. Australian tourist was robbed off Bali. It was actually off Sumatra, 1,000 miles to the west. He'd run out of fuel and been drifting for a month. And the local people come and saved him. He abandoned his boat and they just helped themselves. So was he robbed? I don't know, but they took all of his, they stripped his boat. He walked off of it. And this is the fella here, robbed by a pirate with a gunpoint. But yeah. And then Singapore, a couple of bits and moving now. So again, depending on where you sail, zero chance. If you're going around here, you probably need to have some escort. Up here, stay away from Jakarta, it's just a busy city. And then you come to Singapore, stay on the Singapore side, you're very safe. So in terms of Mythbusters, we'd call that plausible but very unlikely for Yachty. They go after the big cargo ships. They're looking for $20 or $30 million worth, or $100 million worth of crude oil rather than a big Yachty. Asia is so cheap. We talk about people say, "Oh, you must have been so cheap up there." Well, you saw the cost, $100 grand to have the boat painted. Now, it would have cost the same here. Given the scope of work and what we did, oh yeah, do it yourself. It's like, you save money, Steve. Or it only takes you 5 minutes to fix it. What we found, we went to marinas. The Blue Line's 3-month sailing club. And they're not exactly true, but basically Indonesia, 3 or 4 times, very expensive in Indonesia. Thailand, we don't have the Royal Phuket Yacht Club because you can't get in there, but that's up above the world. So we're over at Krabi at the moment, so we're spending about the same as what we spent in Fremantle. And then Malaysia's very cheap, but the facilities are very, very basic.
If you want to do it yourself, Malaysia is cheaper, and also when you import stuff, if you get it flown in, you don't pay duty on it. Thailand, they'll have a crack at you.
This one's super cheap, but this is actually just a mooring in a marina, so you actually you drop your anchor. And this one over here is very cheap, but it's actually gone out of business. It's all defunct. So Malaysia's quite sort of reasonable. In terms of labour, we were talking the trading would cost us $1,000 a week. You had to supply all the materials, all the tools. We'd have people turning up with a hammer. And so any stuff, you'd have to employ them, you have to take insurance, all that sort of stuff. And then the good quality people were just locked in forever. So you had to get at the end of the queue. You get people for $1 a day, and you spend the rest of your life undoing what they did. So yeah, 100% supervision. People would scrape off things, break things, unscrew things, but they didn't know what they're doing. And then if you go through a third-party company, they charge you $100, $150 an hour for a tradie. Fuel, throughout everywhere we went, $2 a litre the whole way we went through. That was 2022, I don't know what it is now. The whole way through, from Bali right through to, until we got to Phuket, it was jerry cans the whole way. So, and you can go to the service stations, but it's illegal, and they do police it because the government's subsidising it. So they've actually a big campaign to stop.
You can go to the ferry terminal of Long's Point.
It's a few places. Yeah. And then parts, there's only about a dozen chandlers. They charge about 30 to 50% above Australian prices. We actually take bags full of stuff from Whitworth's back with us. It's just easier. If we've got big ticket items, we claim the GST on the way out, 10%.
But once again, in Malaysia, no import duty.
Yeah. So Indonesia is zero in terms of quality contractors or support or marinas or chandlers. Malaysia's got some good choices, Angkor, a few others.
Angkor's very good.
And then Phuket is the epicentre. They've got a huge centre there of mega yachts. And then, as Louis said, if you go to Langkawi, you get duty free. So in terms of Mythbusters, yes, Asia's not cheap. I mean, I've been working in Asia since 1975. I think you go to Singapore now for a beer, you're probably going to pay about $22, $25 a pint. Ken, what do you pay for? Been there recently? Yeah.
But having said that, we're in Thailand. It is so humid. Terry and I will eat some fruit in the morning, and then we just have our evening meal, which is never any more than $25, and I generally eat seafood. We don't eat Western food. Sometimes the bar bill is in excess of the food bill. So that's, once again, that if you just ate Thai, you can eat for $5 each a day. If you want to sit there and drink singers, then it's going to...
Yeah, bizarre. We're a little bit over, but we're getting there. There's a few more to go. Singapore Strait. Singapore Strait is so dangerous. We had people telling us we were terrified. Oh, you're going to be raped. That was just me. You're going to have pirates. You're going to be run over. The ships go through at 1,000,000 miles an hour. There's 1,000 ships in here at any one day. The good news is most of them are parked. We came out of Nongsa Point, which is around here or here, and we got contacted the Southeast Asian Forum. They said just stay on the Indonesian side. There's no traffic. They're all obliged to be in the traffic zone. So as you can stay outside the traffic zone. And there's 4 traffic crossings: 1, 2, 3, 4. This one's super busy because all the ferries are going to Indonesia. Less busy, and this one is nothing because they're going to Africa. So we came along here, and then ducked up into Singapore up here. And you can't go inside the Singapore waters unless you have a permit. They're stupid, and they track you.
They will shadow you.
They shadow you with a patrol boat the whole day.
But some of the stories in the bars, oh.
So this is us. We got up about 4 o'clock in the morning because we were worried about the currents. We weren't too sure. Came along, and we're going to make our big jump across. And this fella came across. The ships are a mile apart, so you do your navigation bit, mile apart, 12 knots. So that's about ship every 6 minutes, I think it is. So you've got 6 minutes to get across the gap. Well, this fella came past. He was a big mega tank. He was doing 4 knots, and the next ship was a mile behind him. I thought, hang on, I think I've got 18 minutes. I'm right. So turn right. Here we go. Death zone. Crossing the traffic separation zone in Singapore. Past the Kaila Butcher. The next ship on the left are a mile apart. 18 minutes. We're about to enter the westbound traffic where we want to be, on the other side. Costco shipping in front of us. Asia Pass in front of us. And then we're clear, so we'll see how we go. And that was it. Someone said, oh yeah, and someone got on the internet and then they wrote a big blog about how dangerous it was and all the rapists and murderers and pirates, and I said, I got ripped off. we went across. We have more traffic going to Rottnest. So anyway, busted. Yeah, Singapore straight day. No, just a bit of good. With AIS, it was dead easy.
But some of the bar talk, particularly from sort of my perspective, sober, was that these guys, one stood there and he said, oh, we came through and we got hammered. And I said, what was the name of your boat again? And he told me, and I said, that's really weird because it's quite a memorable name, and you were on our AIS, you must have got one heck of a squall that we never saw.
Louise, what took this?
Yeah, can't get Western foods or brands in stores. All of these are available at your Lotus, Tesco's, Macro, that sort of stuff. All your marina stores, they'll have just about anything you want, or the very multicultural manager will find it for you.
There was nothing we couldn't find.
Nothing we couldn't find.
Vegemite?
Vegemite, yes, not a problem.
Okay.
Yep,
The only thing is some things you paid quite a premium for, cheese particularly.
yeah.
Cheese, we found pork everywhere. Oh, they always have a pork section. Come here with the unclean, why you pork? Okay. Yeah.
You know, everything, you just have to ask for it or pay for it. Yeah, but it's not that it's not available. No, some things are very expensive, don't they?
Yep.
How much shopping do you do?
So yeah, Western food can't get no busted. It's you can buy whatever you like. You can stock your pantry as if you're in Australia. What's this one? Oh, sales right away. Everybody says, oh, we're sailing up, we have right away. Believe me, you have no right away. There's no such thing as right away. You have a stand-on vessel and a giveaway vessel. We put our hand up, we were the giveaway vessel every time.
This guy was not going to let it go at the bar that night, was he?
They're a power boat, I'm a yacht. I said, they're a fishing vessel. No, I've got right away. I said, no, just go, just.
Yeah, you work it out in the courts in Asia.
Yeah. And I think that's
it.
that's where we are now. This
That's
is
what this Saigon looks like now.
we've parked up. So
That's a new logo on the bow. Is that one on my shirt?
questions? Any questions?
Questions on
And I think Ari, we've got to be out of here by another 45 minutes, but we see how we go. The bar's open until about 9:30, but we'll do questions now. Any questions? Sorry, Ari, back to you.
Question time, anybody?
I'll just make a comment. I was speaking only by email to a yacht stand broker who's coming down from Bali in the end of this month. and they're being able to check in at Dampier. I presume they're going to have to stay on the boat to do their biosecurity in Fremantle.
Okay. Bill, you had the problem, didn't you, coming back to...
Yeah, the issue is biosecurity, so customs are not a problem, they're happy to cooperate, but it's biosecurity at the moment will not. Well, they will do it on a case-by-case basis, so if you want to set off and take your luck, you may well get biosecurity clear you, otherwise you've got to go to Darwin or Fremantle.
So that's a big gap.
So
Steve?
it's a project we're working on at the moment to try and get Dampier
Difficult?
reinstatement. Yeah.
Next.
Insurance, Terry.
Yeah, it gets harder and harder. Fewer and fewer people doing it, particularly after COVID, because a lot of the yachts left. So there wasn't, Mark and Kathy, the experts in the room. A lot of the companies chose not to insure. But Mark and Gaffey helped put us in the right direction. So it's available, not cheap, but what you might have had 5 or 10 years ago is not there anymore. We couldn't find an Australian company that would cover overseas anymore, so you have to go offshore. Sorry, unless you're going for a... We spoke to Club, we were with Club Marina. If we went for a couple of weeks to a Bali, Fremantle Bali, or a month, yeah, no problems. But if you're going to stay, you have to insure offshore. Sure. And particularly Malaysia, where a lot of yachts have sunk in the moorings, they're insisting on and salvage insurance as a minimum, because so many yachts have just sunk at the moorings and they've got the pollution, the whole bit. Yeah, if you went up to Asia, when we were going through, you could buy lots of yachts for $1. People walked away from them with a huge price tag to fix them.
On the, Terry will give you the links, but on our Miss Saigon Southeast Asia site, there's a couple of photos of COVID boats that were symptoms of it. One beautiful boat had a tree growing out of its teak decks. And a Grand Banks was, so sad, wasn't it?
Yeah, been seized by the authorities for lack of payment of fees. So.
And you could buy it for $1, but then you had to pay for the salvage and also the marina fees where it had been stored.
Any more questions?
Can I ask, and I assume it's Louise, to talk a little bit about provisioning?
Provisioning, yep.
I mean, it might be Terry, but I assume it's
Terry,
It's a pretty safe question.
Terry can tell you how much a carton of beer is in every country in Southeast Asia. Provisioning, I overstored. I took too much tin food because there was plenty of fresh provisions along the way at markets. If you're not paranoid about when we were expats, we had a lot of Brits with us. We were with a company called BP, and they insisted on having everything with the skin on, or it had to be rinsed in an antiseptic type of a solution.
Or flown in from the UK.
Or flown in from the UK on a special plane. But no, the produce up there is fantastic. It helps if you don't want red meat. The pork products are available, obviously not in the Muslim villages, but to actually get up there, say for the leg, Fremantle to Bali itself, where we did 10 and a half, 11 days straight. We had the main fridge down the bottom, and then we had a 2-drawer fridge, which you can either have as 2 freezers or a fridge and a freezer, or 2 fridges. That one served us quite well, didn't it?
Just froze meals for the crew for 2 weeks. But they just being a freezer, just use the power.
Yeah. So if you're going to do that straight leg, we were on a mission to get with the guys up to Bali in that space of time. So yeah, I got a lot of stuff, cryovacked it and froze it after cryovacking it, and then put it in the fridge, and that stuff would last us the whole way through. Quite frankly, 3 out of the 4 of us just weren't really hungry in that off the northwest shelf. But lots of muesli bars for those sorts of occasions.
But you can, in the major centres like Bali, Banyuwangi to a limited degree, certainly in Phuket, Malaysia, huge shopping centres, huge supermarkets.
Macro in Indonesia, Lotus, Tesco.
But between the centres, absolutely zero. Even we went to that place we saw, we had to go across to Oyster Beds to go ashore. They had a restaurant, we went there and we looked in the pot. it was all the fish giblets. We said, yeah, we'll go back to bait, thank you. It was just,
Yeah. So it depends on your palate. We've got fairly cast iron constitutions.
but yeah,
so
lots of seafood. Very nice seafood. It's always fresh. Lots of chicken, lots of white meat, pork. We don't eat red meat, not up there.
But I would take things, I mean, food has grown as an industry so much than when people were doing it 20 years ago. So all those pre-mixed curries and stuff you can get from the supermarkets, they're a godsend if you don't take them in your hand luggage. So yeah, all those sorts of and people say, oh, that's Coles to Newcastle. It's not if you've gone out to an Anchorage where you want to spend a week and there's nothing on the island, where you're just snorkeling and that, all those sorts of things. But I'd go for those sorts of things. I'm trying to think all those Asian, they used to all be on MKR and now they're all doing products in Coles and Woolies.
The things we spend a lot of our life to, which most of you would know, is the bulk liquids, so bulk beer, bulk water, bulk fuel. We had a water maker, but it got fouled, so that stopped working. But that became our life, as I say, jerry cans for fuel. We'd buy a truckload of beer at a time, so that was for a month. And then, we go to shops and just get what they call it, the same as an Uber, a grab. It was only about $2 back to it would just fill the car up with food and take it back to the boat and put it all in the freezer and that would do us.
So a bit more on the water then, Terry. So you say your watermaker failed early, I guess?
Indonesia.
Yeah. So how did you manage then? Did you just buy in?
Well, once we got to the wet season, we just opened the hatch and just
No,
filled it up.
but going up through Malaysia, we got the 9 litre bottles and had the netting, and we put it under the saloon table and put it off there, and then just tipped it straight into the
Malaysian
tanks.
water is perfectly pure, so we were actually just able to use the tap water and put it through a filter, no problems. Thai water is a little bit iffy. Indonesian water, absolutely not. But you can buy this bottles, 20 litre bottle of Nestle for a few dollars. You just buy those by the dozen.
Just for drinking, or could you boil it and then still drink it in and stuff?
Oh no, for Nestle we just put it in the main water tank. We showered with it.
Oh, okay.
And people were horrified that we're spending $2 a 20 litre jug and we use it for shower.
But we shower like submariners, so
Yeah.
we're very aware of water usage.
Once a week per minute.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean there was $40 and you got water for a month.
Okay.
That's yeah.
So is the water maker a dubious option up there? Or
Well,
is this just a specific one of yours?
Oh, okay. Now, if you're living on board your boat 100% of the time, probably the things you probably need to have is a water maker and and lithium batteries.
And air conditioning.
And air conditioning. They're probably the 3 things you need if you're living on board 100% of your time. If you're in and around marinas, it diminishes returns. I mean, we looked at the water maker to replace it, 5 or 10 grand. Well, we've got tap water. We're not going to be bumps at sea anymore.
But we didn't have an air conditioner until we got to
Malaysia.
Yeah, which one? I can't remember.
They're the one,
which
Puturi.
harbour, Puturi. Yeah, and fine when you're at anchor, but in a marina, you're really
At anchor, the marina's most of the boat, nice and cool.
So did you have one of your own and just plugged it in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just got a stand.
Just isolated to
Like
our
like a room aircon type.
yeah, just isolated to our aft cabin. Lots of people were trying to sell us air coolers, but we wanted an air conditioner. As it turned out, a guy was coming down from Singapore and was prepared to sell it to us for what he paid in Singapore, and we grabbed it.
So I think we've finished there now, but we are happy to answer any questions one-on-one. Either tonight or later, we can do some information.
I'll just take 2 seconds to explain this one.
Okay.
Carrying on for Hats for Java, I'm doing this one. Terry and I fly back on the 4th of October. There's this sign on the notice board down there. What we're doing is focus on fishermen. They were crying out in the fishing villages, the fishermen for sunglasses, when they go into the villages, there's a lot of ladies my age that are struggling with their sight, and you take the glasses in, take in something not dissimilar to this, and then they'll just go through and find something that suits them, take it home, smile on their face, even if they haven't got too many teeth. It's amazing. So just the rewards of that, and I tried it in the past when we were doing another rally, and people were critical that we were trying to do a Fred Hollows or something. That's not what we're trying to do. It's just helping a few people get a little bit more better quality in life. If they can't speak English, they're just getting a visual, whether it be a picture getting more focus or whatever, but we take a couple of like the books that come off the airline planes. I take in like what's in just your translation. They usually do it in Indonesian and English, or they do it in Thai and English. You take that in to show them they can just get a better. They just sit there and go, "Yeah, I'll take those."
Yeah, that's great.
And the fishermen don't give a care what unisex they are. We've given away these to very old gentlemen with very few teeth. So yeah, they're just delighted. So that basket is going home
Is it
tonight.
downstairs in the foyer?
No,
No?
it's a permission thing, yeah.
Oh,
So, there's a phone number on there, but I'm down here most Friday
I'm down
nights.
here every Friday night, and I'm
Yeah.
happy to bring a basket, and if
Well, take
anyone
that
wants to
If
see us,
Yeah, have a table.
alright.
If you take that one with the sign, because I'll leave the sign on the notice board, what they did last Sunday night was they put it behind the bar for me, because I left it out for the whole.
You know what,
I
just
have-
give it to me and I'll put it on my table every
So,
Friday night.
Thank you for that, yeah.
yeah, that'd be great. Thanks, thanks, Helen.
How long are you guys around for still before you go back?
Another 5 weeks.
No.
5 weeks later.
Well,
And then we come back for Christmas.
Thank you so much,
FIFA Yachties.
guys. So much knowledge, so much information, and enjoy this together.
Thank you very much.
And Terry and Louisa will be around for a few minutes now, and we can have a chat if you'd like to ask any more questions individually. So thank you so much, everybody. Look forward to the next topic, though.
Okay.